Hey, 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 hey. Happy Friday night, guys. What's going on? Good to see you. Good to have you here. Tonight, guys, we are checking out some new docs dropped in the Idaho case. Come on in. Go grab a seat, grab a chair. Get comfortable, guys. Join me for this. I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you for joining me. Let's do this thing and see what's going on in Idaho tonight. Here we go. Heidi, Heidi ho. What's going on, peeps? How are you tonight? What's going on with everybody on this crazy Friday night? I hope you're all having a great night. And I hope you guys had a great rest of your day today. Thank you all for joining me again tonight. I appreciate you so very much. So, again, I was looking through things as I do, and I realized that there was some new documents dropped over the past few days in Idaho. So I got to keep you up to date. I'm sure you guys may have seen them somewhere else. And if you haven't,
Here you go. Come on in, grab a chair. Figured we could go over them together. Come on down, y'all. I appreciate you guys joining us. Let's see who we got in here tonight. Welcome back, Just Peachy. Good to see you, Miss Amy. Thank you for being here. Lisa R. again. Great to see you. The awesome and amazing Miss Wisdom Speaks. Miss Sherry's in the house. Good to see you, Miss Sherry. Thank you for joining us. Good Lord, I would forget my head if it wasn't attached. Let's see. SRB, how we doing today, dear? Good to see you. Good to have you here. Awesome. Awesome. Let me see. Doodlebug, what's up? Miss Lily C. Oh, it's been a minute, Lily. Good to see you again. Sweet Surrender, what's going on, Miss Katie? Good to see you. Vicky Sipple, welcome back to you. Doodlebug. Miss Val, what's going on? Hope Floats, good to see you. War Eagles in the house, what's going on? Noni McPoppins, welcome back to you. Great to see you. War Eagle, a roll tide roll. What's going on? Miss Ashley's in the house. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Salty Sleuth, welcome back to you again. Thank you so much for your help earlier today. You are awesome. I appreciate you so much. Jessie Lynn, welcome back to you. Let me see here. I hope it's not buffering, guys. I'm sorry if it was. It is good to see you, Miss Lily. It's been a while, Miss Lily C. Lisa Vallejo, welcome back to you. Curious Cat, welcome back again. Good to see you as well. Digo, Lily. Excuse me. Let me see here. Please, guys, if you will, on your way in the door, you already know what I'm going to say. Please leave some DNA on that like button. Like it if you do, like it if you don't. Just like it for me if you will. T2014's in the house. Welcome back. Great to see you, Cat K, as well. Good to have you here. Sasha Berger or Burge, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate you guys very, very much. J-Lit, welcome back to you. Just Peachy, too fast for fleas. It's been a minute. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you here, North Carolina Mountain Man. What's up? Good to see you, bro. Elizabeth Moore. Hello from Hartwell, Georgia. Hello to you, my dear. Good to have you here. Good to see you. CL is back in the house. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate you all so very much. I really do. Let me see. I think I got everybody. I think. I want to make sure I don't miss nobody. Nobody. No. Yes, it is. Great to see you come back, Curious. I'm glad to see that it was interesting or you enjoyed it enough to want to come back. I appreciate you very much. I don't know why I even wear these things because I can't see out of them to save my life. I think that's it. So come on in, guys. Grab your coffee, tea, whatever it may be. Grab a seat, sit down, have a conversation with me because we got some docs to go over. That's a fact. Again, there hasn't been much going on. And I told you guys that I got to step away from Idaho when there is nothing going on because there's nothing to talk about. But I also told you when I see something new, if there's new documents, that I will bring it to you. And that's a fact. What? That's right. All right. Let me see. Come on down. Grab a seat. I'll give you guys a few minutes to get comfortable. Grab your popcorn, your coffee, tea, your rum, your vodka, whatever you're drinking tonight. It is Friday. So you know. You never know. Oh, Miss Lily had surgery. Took a minute to, but welcome back. It's great to have you back. We've missed you so very much. Yes, I got my old man glasses on. You can make fun of me. My nerd is showing big time right now. And they still don't. I'm still blind without them. So Cold blackberry tea. Damn, that sounds really good. I've never had that before. I'm drinking hot blackberry tea, but never cold. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder if these ones are any better. I doubt it. I need new ones. I gotta get some good ones. The Clark Kent. I'm not gonna turn into Superman. I'll tell you, Super Dago or nothing. Nope, I can't see out of these. Out of these are worse. So be it. Have to deal with these. Getting stronger every day. That's awesome, Lily. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Jesse and Doodle. That really does sound good, Salty. I've never heard of that. That sounds actually really good. I love blackberry flavored stuff. And I've had blackberry hot tea, so I can imagine cold would be really good. And I drink a lot of tea, iced tea. It's usually unsweetened, but I'll throw a little bit of stevia in there here and there. You know how that goes. Come on in, everybody. Party of Five, Cat K. Good to see you back. Great to have you here. I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of time to get some more peeps in here because I don't want to start over. Just give it a few minutes, guys. Oh, I know that. I'm married to a Southern woman and her mama lives with us, so I know all about the Southern thing. Um, they both make the best sweet tea this end of the North. I promise you that much. Although I don't drink it anymore because it is got sugar in it. So you know how that goes. Um, they think I'm strange because I like unsweetened tea, completely unsweetened. How do you drink that? It's so bitter and bad. I like it. I like the flavor, the taste of it. You know what I mean? My favorite, I'll be honest with you, is peach tea. I've always loved peach flavored tea. Always. You get oh yeah. See, they actually brew this stuff on the stove, and it's not boiling it. If you say boiling it, you'll get shot. They brew it in a pan or a pot on top of the stove for a certain amount of time, and it's done. Then you let it sit. That has to be a certain amount of time too. So I learned this because I screwed it up. And then you pour up the tea. That's how they say that. I'm like, how do you pour something up? I'm sorry, Salty. I get it. My mother hates it too. Um, and then you stick it in the fridge, add ice to the glass, pour it in, and bing bang boom. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I drink way more of that. You guys will see me with the Pepsi Zero here and there. And I do drink those here and there, but love me the tea. Love some tea. Tea makes me sick, and I don't know why. That's weird. Maybe you have an allergy to it, Tricky. You could have an allergy to the tea leaves. That's possible. Yes, has to be steeped. That's a fact. Well, we got 70 peeps in here. Well, 39 likes. I'm not even going to say it. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. You have to steep your tea. That's right. You got to steep it, steep. Steep. It's got to be steeped. Steeped. Don't ask me where all my energy is coming from tonight. Probably because I've been playing around. My granddaughter, she's here. She got me all hyped up. Sun tea is very good. I like both. My mom makes sun tea. These two make brewed tea. Sometimes I'll make it through my well, we used to through my coffee maker thing. Nobody knows. I'm telling you guys right now, if you're northern people can say they know how to make sweet tea. They're lying to you. They don't. I mean, they know how to make it, but it don't taste right. I used to say I could make sweet tea. It ain't hard, blah, 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 blah. And I liked mine until I had theirs. There is a place down south that I did not know about until I went down to Alabama and met my wife's family. It's called Milo's. It's like a burger place, and they make their own sweet tea too. They sell it at like the Piggly Wiggly and places like that down south. It for sweet tea is the best one I've ever had, and you can buy it in the store. Grocery stores all over the place. Sherry and in the house. Good to see you. Uh-oh. The gummies are kicking in. I'm gonna get on with it here in a minute. I promise. I promise. Milo's. Yes. They put some like a weird sauce on their burgers. They're actually pretty good. Pretty good. Yes, Milo's tea is awesome. Milo's food is awesome. I love it. Period. All of it. Oh, there you go, Miss Lily. Iced coffee and Red Bulls. What are you on a suicide mission, Amy? Or are you trying to build houses by yourself? What's going on? Iced coffee and sweet tea. That's crazy. It's a lot of caffeine and energy going on right there. You're from Bama, say you're all right. Roll Tide roll. You're close to Bama. Yes, you kind of got a little bit of that accent, Salty. When I talk to you, I picked that up. You remind me of my wife's aunt every time I talk to you. All right, all right, all right, all right. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, everyone was ready to talk about Idaho's house. Yeah, that was dumb. Sorry. SRB. Where's Cass at? SRB. Probably dealing with the kids. Putting the kiddos to bed. It's 10 o'clock. Floribama's in the house. That's right. You down by the coast there, Salt? The Gulf Coast down there. Is that where you're at? Let's see. Going BK has iced coffee for $1. Oh yay. Elizabeth Moore. Good to see you. Alabama barbecue and some sweet tea with lemon. Don't get me started. I love Bama. Everything down there and in that region is just so much better than it is up here, in my opinion. I'm sorry. The food, the air, you're on the Gulf. That's why I figured, yeah. It's beautiful down there. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Except for when they get storms. That's scary. That is some scurra stuff. Probably getting groceries. Gotcha. I gotcha. All right, let me see. Where did it go? Bring it back up. Boom. All right. Interesting stuff that we're going to be. This stuff is a little different than what we're used to seeing. So it should be interesting for sure. Faux show. Faux show. All right, everyone. Let me get this set up for you guys real quick here. Maybe. All right. 1 second, everyone. All right, Murky. Good to see you. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. I don't mind. I don't mind the snow, guys. I really don't. I don't like when we get lots of it. I'll tell you what I don't like. I didn't use any. I could used to be one of them people I could wear shorts all through the winter. Not no more. The cold is actually bugging me now. What's going on, Groot? Good to see ya. Oh yes, Amy. From what I believe, they did a couple times. Actually, I've heard. I don't know how truth it is. Again, guys, thank you for joining me this afternoon for the show we had on Delphi today. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you for tuning in. And like I said, there's more to come. Welcome, Lucia Olson. Good to see you. There's more to come for sure. And like I said, I'm trying to get things set up and get the timeline right to get the awesome Miss Salty up here on the panel with me to do this together with me when she gets some free time because she is a busy, busy lady. Um, and to get some more info out to you. And like I said, we're going to be starting that new case on Michael Petit and that story. So I appreciate you guys sticking around, hanging around, being part of this community, and wanting to hear what I got to talk about so very much. So, oh, right. See if I can get that right there in a minute. A little bit more. Boom. That's good. Okay. Well, you're here now, Vicky, and that's all that matters. All right. Again, mods, thanks for joining me. I appreciate everything you guys do. Mrs. Kelly, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate everything you guys do. Moderators are great. You guys, you really do it right. I promise you. And I appreciate you very, very much. Sweet surrender, Miss Katie. All right, all right. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Kelly. I appreciate you very much. All right, folks, there we go. And here we go. It's the first document dropped. This was dropped as of the 29th. Yes. And this one is the motion to temporarily seal stipulation in order to transfer evidence for forensic evaluation pending hearing. Sounds different, doesn't it? So this one reads, come now, the state of Idaho, by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney, and hereby moves the court pursuant to Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32G1. Um, hold on a second here. In Idaho Code 74-124 for a temporary order sealing the stipulation and order to transfer evidence for forensic evaluation herein because release or disclosure would one, interfere with enforcement proceedings, two, deprive a person of a right to a fair trial or an impartial adjudication. I can never say that right. Adjudication, there we go, constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy, disclose the identity of a confidential source and or disclose investigative techniques and procedures. The undersigned seek this protection pending a hearing on the matter. Wherefore, the state respectfully prays that the court seal from public disclosure the stipulation and order to transfer evidence for forensic evaluation. Welcome, Vicki Harrison. Great to see you. Excuse me. Herein, under the provisions of Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32G1 and Idaho Code 74-124. That was submitted the 29th. And there it is. So, again, backing up here, the stipulation and order to transfer evidence for forensic evaluation. So, for anybody that doesn't understand, this is sealing this document, okay, this motion and stipulation. If there's a stipulated scenario going on, okay, and order in the order, and that is the order is to transfer evidence somewhere for forensic evaluation. It is quite interesting, in my opinion. That's awesome, Salty. I'd love to live there. So, CL, good to see you. A hearing on the matter. Correct. Very, 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 very correct. When was he arrested? Are you talking about Brian? Curious. Uh, oh my God, guys, refresh my memory. I believe it was December 30th. Am I right? Or am I wrong? IGG or new evidence. It says it right. Sherry. It says, I think there's more coming that I'll be explaining. It was December 30th, I thought. Yeah. Right, right. All right, everybody. There's 84 awesome peeps in here. Make sure you're hitting that like button on the way in the door. Absolutely. If it's transferred to defense, if it's transferred to defense testing facility, they want it sealed. Right. So, and that's it right there because they don't want, like I said, it to interfere with enforcement proceedings, deprive a person of a right to a fair trial or an impartial adjudication, impartial, I'm sorry, constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. Welcome, Moonvale. Or to disclose the identity of a confidential source and or disclose investigative techniques and procedures. Now, see, they put those stipulations, or not stipulations, I'm sorry, reasonings behind their sealings on just about everything they've sealed in any document we've looked at, folks. So you got to look at it in that sense. But at the same time, this is kind of interesting to me. So we'll see. We will see. You're absolutely welcome, Moonville. Thank you for joining us tonight. And CL says that it sounds like an issue with a chain of command of the DNA evidence. It very possibly could be. Mountain Man, Deo, I invited some of my mod friends here. They're good. Thank you. Thank you. Bring them on in, brother. We always love new faces. Always love new faces. We're a very open and welcoming family here. So come on by, guys. Please do. Miss Salty says, I think it was the transfer of IGG over to the court and it's being entered as evidence. Absolutely. Very, very possible. That's what I thought too, was the IGG stuff. I didn't want to claim that to be unless I knew for sure, but that's what I'm pretty sure because that's what we knew that was coming through. Excuse me, guys. We knew that was coming through. So, oh, where we go. When we get the second filing that I believe confirms it. I could be wrong, but it's my take. Absolutely, you're probably right, dear. You usually are, or at least very close to. Yes, absolutely, Mountain Man. We really, really do appreciate that. It did come through. There you go. Bing, bang, boom. All right. I'm sitting low again. I can feel it. Let's bounce that one out and bounce the new one in. We got another one dropped on the same day. And this is, hold on a minute. Okay, see, this will explain it, guys. And they usually does work this way. So, yeah, exactly, Piglet. That's the one I'm kind of excited to explain and talk to you guys about. Is the one after this. So, hang loose and we're going to do it. So, this one here, this just goes along with the last one and it explains a little bit more. Thank you, SRB. I appreciate that very much. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're coming up on that one next. So, Salty. Well, unless you guys want me to do the last one first and then go back to this one. Welcome, Aunt Clara. Great to see you. And thank you again, all you meatballs, for being here. If you guys want, I can drop to the last one, do that one first, and then jump back to this. And because I mean, this basically just explains. Um, hold on. It doesn't. Yeah, this one doesn't say anything more than what you don't already know. So we'll just drop to the next one because that's the good one anyway. I'm guessing. I am guessing, Ashley, that this is the stuff that they requested 10 times. This one was dropped today. Okay. Oop, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yes, this one was dropped today. So here we go. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom, bam. This is notice of in camera. Oops. Sorry, guys. Notice of in camera submission. Okay. A little different. And again, Sorry, folks. Comes now the state of Idaho, by and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney, and hereby gives notice to pursuant to this court's October 25th, 2023 order addressing IgG, DNA, and order for an in-camera review. The state has submitted the IgG information in its possession, custody, or control to the court for in-camera review. This was dated as of yesterday, but it dropped today. Um, certificate. Wait a minute. Where's the rest of this at? I thought there was more to this. So again, I really thought there was more to this. Guess it's not going to address it. Okay. Well, anyway, this goes back to the October 25th hearing that we had talked about before. Welcome, War Eagle. Good to see you. Okay. And it's the order addressing the IgG DNA and the order for in-camera review. All right. Now, this is the I'm sorry. I hate that this is all they give you. They don't give you any more description of it. The state finally basically turned over what had been requested on the IgG and the DNA stuff. So this is pretty important, in my opinion, at least. Keywords to catch. It's in its possession and not much more than Bill has already said. Right. Right. Thank you, Murky. Yep. It's sad that they don't give a better description on these things. I really don't like that, but that's okay. We can work it out ourselves. No big deal. Um, that's it. Review and eval time. I'm hoping. So the judge did receive the IgG material. Now he will conduct his review and make decisions on what the defense can have. Let's hope that it makes some sense. I've had some conversations with some people that there's been some movement in Idaho around some stuff. I don't know for a fact, so don't quote me on it. I can't give any more than that, but I've heard that there's been some different movements around going on in Idaho. That's all I know. Okay. And I'm hoping that, something good's going to come from that. That there'll be something put out that makes some sense, that maybe something will change it up a little bit to get some people to calm down. Good evening, Canadian Cat Lady. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I wonder what the judge will do if it does not contain. That's a good question, Sherry. That's an interesting scenario too. I'd be curious about that. I think the judge will hand over everything he can. That's how I'm kind of like in that same mode. I think at this point, with everything that's gone on, I can imagine that he's going to give everything that he can to get the ball rolling on something, or to shut some things down per se. You know what I mean? That is my thought. All right, here. Excuse me. We'll have to see. Murky, we'll have to see. Exactly. So that's it for that document, folks. I just want to make sure there's nothing else here. There's not. So if we go back to this one here, it really just explains the other one. Okay. So that was the order, that the stipulation in order to transfer evidence for the IgG, and that it was sealed. So that's exactly what that was. Riddler, what's going on? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight. All right, let's see here. 66 likes, 96 people, guys. Let's catch it up if we can. Please, please, please. All right, guys, give me a second here. I need to put you guys on hold for 1 second and fix something real quick. I'll be right back with you. Please hang loose. little little intermission. I'll be right with you. Be right with you guys. Give me one more. All right, guys. I'm so sorry about that. We had a bit of a problem with my kitchen sink. Thank you, Miss Sherry, very much for that. I very much appreciate that. And again, for anybody that donated earlier this afternoon to the towards the channel to support the channel, it's appreciated. And for anybody that does it tonight is very much appreciated as well. And I'm back. Bitchy Mrs. Arnold. And hello. Nice name. Charlotte Gross. Welcome back to you. Lunacy Nancy. Wait. LS Lou L Sue Nancy Drew. Okay. Welcome. Good to see you. I'm here. I'm here. I'm sorry. There was a problem with our saying come Paul. My apologies, guys. Greatly sorry. All right. So, so what do we think about this stuff, you guys, with this IGG stuff? Anybody have any thoughts on this at all? Anyone? Miss Bow, good to see you. Hope floats. Any thoughts, opinions, theories, anything you guys in regards to this? Curious. Welcome to all the new faces. Violet Days, thank you for joining us in here. I appreciate you so very much for jumping on in with us. And Mountain Man, I appreciate you bringing them on over, brother. I really do. Absolutely. Very welcome. Very, very welcome. Great to have you here. Great to see you guys here. I'm super excited about new faces. I always am. Mojo, what's going on? Good to see you tonight. This won't be a super duper duper long stream tonight, guys, but I did want to bring you that stuff. So, and I want to talk about it a little bit. We don't talk much about Idaho because there's not much to talk about, but we do talk about it when we need to. Um, Sealed and too secretive. I agree. I agree. But see, I'm a little bit torn in some senses with this whole gag order, folks, because in some senses I think it's good, but in some senses I think not. I think I think it's driven people insane. I'll be honest with you. I think it's driven people nuts with this case. Always salty, always, always. I try to do anything I can for MCAW. It's great to see you. Anything I can for you guys. Welcome, I'm a five. I've told you guys, always told you guys, even when I said that I was backing away from this a little bit, because there's not much to talk about. I told you I will every time something happens, anytime something happens, anytime something's talked about or brought up, I will bring it to you. Let me see. The Cherokee Rose. I noticed Thompson said IGG info in his possession, custody, and control. I would bet he is still going to claim most of it is in FBI custody and therefore he doesn't have it. That's a good point, Cherokee. That's a good point. It's very possible. Um, Violet Days, good to see you again. I'm sorry, you looked different for a minute, but I just spoke to you. I got you. Mojo Rising, I know. Anybody else got anything else in regards to this? Let me see something here. There was something else I was going to show you guys too. I can't remember exactly where it went. Hold on a minute here. Bring that down and go over here for this. And it just gave me an excuse to come hang out with you guys again, which I always enjoy doing. Yeah. Yeah, it shows state of Idaho versus Brian Koberger, so I'm guessing it was, process the state put him out, in my opinion. Yeah, oh yeah. Mountain Man says Atlanta pretty much proved today that they broke chain of custody. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Where did it go? I just had it up here earlier. I was looking at it. Oh, yeah, this is what I was looking at earlier. This actually came out 2 weeks ago. Hold on a minute, guys. Atlanta can prove chain of custody broken, so can Ann Taylor. 100% agreed. Absolutely. I know she can. Ann Taylor, I'm telling you. If that's the case, then she should have no problem doing it, folks. at all. Okay, hold on. Does the cheek swab match the knife sheath? It's a good question, Riddler. I would love to know that. If that info would come out, I would be one of the happiest people you'd ever see, and I think most of society would be at this point, because then that would give us almost some guaranteed proof that Brian was in there, and a lot of people could shut up about it. You know what I'm saying? Honestly. So hold on a minute here. I thought this was an interesting video, guys. So I meant to show this to you guys last week, but like I said, I'm not gonna come in here with just one little video and say, "Hey guys, look," and then walk away. You know what I mean? What's up, Red? Yes, it did match. Okay. See, I didn't see that. Where did you get that from, Salty? The cheeks. Well, oh wait a minute. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. I was thinking of something. I was completely different. Excuse what I just said. That was so dumb. I was thinking of a completely different situation. My apologies. So yeah, it did match. I feel like an idiot right now. That was dumb. Sure, that one I'll never hear the end of.
University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed to death
All
in
right,
a
here we
horrific
go.
home invasion that shocked the country. Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Gonzalez.
One of the problems with having ADHD, folks, is you think faster than you should on some things, and I completely was off track on that. I did that twice today. Now that pisses me off. I'm sorry. Here we go.
Alvis and Madison Mogan were discovered slaughtered inside their
Yes,
off-campus home on
yes,
Kings
yes. I
Road
know
in
that.
Moscow, Idaho. A
Believe it or
7-week
not, I do know
manhunt
that.
ended in the arrest of a PhD student who studied in a nearby town. Brian Koberger was cuffed thousands of miles away from the crime scene at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. The former PhD student declined to offer a plea at his arraignment and has since waived his right to a speedy trial, meaning a trial has been put on pause indefinitely. But what can we expect when what could be the case of the century begins? According to former prosecutor, now criminal defense attorney Matthew Mangino, the case has been built on a lot of circumstantial evidence.
And that doesn't mean that you can't prove a circumstantial case. Certainly, um, many cases are proved without direct eyewitnesses and other things. What I would like to see here, obviously, is connecting the dots. We know that there's telephone evidence. His cell phone, Brian Kohlberger's cell phone, was in the area of where these murders occurred. We know there's videotape that surveillance cameras, home cameras, traffic cameras have captured his vehicle, this white Elantra. And then we know that there is.
When this case first came out, Riddler, I actually brought out the Gainesville Ripper case, and I covered a story on Gainesville because it really, and that was before we knew anything really about Idaho, but it really kind of mimicked the Gainesville Ripper scenario in a lot of ways. And I was just like, is this a copycat? Was this somebody that was obsessed with that story or the movie or the way that story went down? Is that where this came from? But it was interesting you brought that up because I definitely followed that up with this. And we covered the whole thing in another series I was doing about a year ago. So yeah, interesting comment.
DNA evidence, although it's very minute. It's on a sheath that was found at the crime scene, and it was matched through genealogy DNA, and ultimately, when he was arrested, DNA was drawn, and there is a match between the two. So, how did that get there? How did the police, know?
I gotta say something real quick. I observe a lot with people, folks. I always have. That picture right there, okay? Looking at her, I mean, she's an attorney, that doesn't matter, but his face, that's a grin, okay? He seems very confident considering the charges that are against him and considering what his sentence could be. In this scenario, he seems very, very confident, okay? Now, this is one of the things that I've struggled with, and this is just a blatant comment for me. It has nothing to do with any fact, okay? I'm just saying if you look at this picture and other pictures I've seen with him, anybody that, in my opinion, and that's why I'm saying I struggle with this. Again, this isn't claiming that Brian's innocent when I say this, okay? But for somebody that's facing the death penalty in all aspects, that doesn't have a clue what's going to happen. Brian's body language and his facial expressions and all that are very, very confident, you guys. And again, that is where and why. That's about 30% of why I'm on the front fence with this. Yeah, BTK did that a lot too. He was very comfortable as well. So, well, that's another good point, Miss Sherry. He does. He kind of looks like Bundy did when he was in court. I can agree with that. You know, I just feel like this guy is too confident for this scenario. He shouldn't be. I think I would be petrified. You know what I mean? It's a good point, Red. He's not nervous because he's crazy. That's a great possibility, guys. Like I told you, he very well could be just that damn good. Okay. Disclaimer: I need trial and all evidence before deciding guilt or innocence, but I believe they have a good probable cause. That goes twice for me. I feel exactly the same way she does. I feel exactly the same way she does, word for word. Welcome, Miss Gina. Good to see you tonight. Thank you for joining us. So I do, honestly. I noticed that a couple of times now, and I'm just like, the confidence level just seems way high for this. And it kind of bugged me a little, I'll be honest with you guys, you know? So anyway, I agree with you on that, Vicky. But I also hope that if Brian, one of the big things I gotta say, if Brian is just that good and he did do this, I pray to God that he doesn't get off for it. Because that's one of my worst nightmares with this case. I really, really feel that's one of the biggest nightmares that I have with this case. I agree with the PCA. Ray says. Um, let me put it this way. I agree with the. How can I say this? The only thing in that PCA that I can't say that I can say I'm completely uncomfortable with is the statement from the witness. That's the only thing I'm uncomfortable with. It was written by a police officer that observed the whole thing. I think it's a lot for a PCA. I will say that. I think it may be overwritten. That's my opinion. But I'm not saying that it's not all true facts because we can't say that, guys. But I have a big problem with Dylan Mortenson's statement. That's the one thing I do not agree with in there because it's just off to me. Dark Bay Child, good to see you. um, right, in the officer's words. So I have to go with that. How can I disagree with that? Because that's how he put it. That's what I'm saying. And that's something I did in the past, and I phrased it the wrong way based on what I thought of it. Okay. I went back and read the PCA over the past 2 months, folks. Twice I've read the whole thing. And I looked at it again. And I plan on doing a show one of these days about it from a legal perspective and a different angle that I've never covered on a show. So that and explaining what we can what processes work through an arrest and things like that. It's a perspective we've never looked at with it. Okay. And I want to do that because I went through and looked at certain things and looked up certain things. Welcome, Deborah. Good to see you. And I had to go back and look at it again, but I absolutely do not agree with Dylan Mortenson's statement. That's one thing I'll not say I can ever be comfortable with. And it's only because of the situation and the gap between when it supposedly happened and the 911 call. I have a big problem with that. And the way it was written in that sense. But that's really it. I can't argue it because I wasn't there. I can't argue it because who am I to argue what a police officer said about this? Now, whether or not he was right or wrong on certain aspects, I don't know. I wasn't there. We don't know. Um, that's a good point right there. PCA is probable cause. Good way to put it. Thank you. No evidence in the PCA. I have a problem with the whole thing. Better have some evidence to take someone's freedoms. That's I can understand that. Absolutely. I absolutely can understand that. Um, Vicky says BK's the launcher doesn't have dark windows. The blurry pictures and other things shows just a white car with dark windows. And that's always been an issue from the very beginning. The car has always been an offsetting scenario throughout this whole case, guys. We all know that. And that's fact. We do allow all opinions in here. Let me clarify, as long as you're kind and respectful and your opinion comes out with common sense and logic. I don't want to hear anything disrespectful towards victims. I will not allow anything disrespectful towards victims or their families or anything like that. It's the only thing that I don't allow in here anymore because we've had problems with it. But you're entitled to any opinion you have and any theory you have. Nobody's going to attack you. Just put it out in a commonsensical way. That's all. And make sure that you, after you put that out, if it's not something based on a fact, make sure you type in your opinion afterwards, please. I appreciate that. Exactly. Thank you, Red. Biggest problem is the lack of information that we are privy to. That's fact. It's a good point. There are many unanswered questions. Innocent until proven guilty. His rights are being met. There we go. I mean, guys, and until I got really involved in Delphi, I wasn't paying attention. It in this sense. But if you look at the way that this guy looks right here, the way he walks into court, how he looks in court, this look on his face right now. And I hate doing this, guys, but these are the two biggest cases that are running right now, in my opinion. But if you compare this case to Delphi, that's the case where the guy's rights aren't being met. Not this one. Brian looks healthy. He looks healthier than he did when he got arrested. Um, he obviously does not look like he's been tortured or starved or drugged or any of that stuff. This man looks as if his rights are being met when it comes to that kind of stuff. Okay. As long as that continues and the evidence is put into play the way it's supposed to, and they do everything along with him the way he's supposed to, I believe he will get a fair try, a fair shake at this. And I have faith in that judge. As you compare that to Delphi, this man comes in a suit. He looks like he's well fed. He's clean. The other guy comes in. It's The Walking Dead, as I call it. It's horrible, guys. Two different scenarios. That's why I have been so aggressive with Delphi and paid so much attention to it. It's sad. It is very sad. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even realize that. In a suit, look at Richard Allen, arrested 1 month apart. It ain't right. It ain't fair. Something's wrong. More importantly, why is his lawyer smiling like that? What's going on with all of them? There's the confidence. I'm telling you, they have a good confidence level in here. You always see that. You feel that when you watch this, guys. It just tells me something with this. I don't know what. I don't know why, but it does. And like I said, I have feelings that there's some activity going on around Idaho, revolving this at this point. So I just don't know.
At the crime scene, and it was matched through genealogy, DNA, and
Pay attention to this stuff, guys. This is
ultimately, when
interesting.
he was arrested, DNA was drawn, and there is a match between the two. So, how did that get there? How did the police, uh, know to move forward with the genealogical investigation of independent businesses, and ultimately, how do they make that match? So those are all questions that I think jurors are going to want to hear. How do you connect all these dots together?
The state has touted the use of DNA to build its case, which detectives say linked Koberger directly to the crime scene. The biggest link? DNA discovered on the button snap of a knife sheath found near the body of Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez. Matthew Mangino says this DNA will play a crucial role in the trial, but it's not the only hand the prosecutors could deal.
What we also know is that this is a very minute piece of DNA that was on this sheath that matches him. How does that place him there? Is there any other explanation for uh, this DNA being found there? Is this potentially just touch DNA, which is a very small amount of DNA that could have been transferred by who knows what means as part of this investigation? I also look for there to be a lot of talk about the lack of DNA evidence. And we know that there is no DNA evidence, or at least that's what we know from media reports, that there's no DNA evidence that was found in Kohlberger's vehicle from any of the victims in this case, and no other DNA evidence found in his apartment from any of the victims of this case. So that's going to be significant because we know that this was a brutal massacre of these four young college students, and there was a lot of blood. And typically, you might find some trace of blood somewhere with the defendant when you have so much of it from four victims here. I don't think it's going to be all about DNA and science. I think that's going to play a role. It's not as though you have blood smears of Kohlberger, on the apartment wall and in his car or something like that. That you don't have that. Okay, you do have his DNA there for some, if you're the defense, some inexplicable reason. But you're also going to challenge, how it got there and how it led to his arrest in this
No,
case,
they
and was there
found
probable
nothing
cause even to arrest him
in his apartment
based
at
on
all,
this
Gina,
this
nothing.
information. Now, we have a match from a later DNA sample from him, but how did you get to that point? And so that's going to happen during trial. There's going to be a lot made of that during the pre-trial. We already saw a challenge to the grand jury instructions, which the court denied. But there are going to be a lot of challenges to the evidence. At this point, we don't even know what evidence is ultimately going to be admissible in this case. That's going to be decided through motions in limine and other types of pretrial motions before we ever get to picking a jury.
The next piece to the puzzle for prosecutors, possible witnesses to the crime itself. We know two other roommates were at the off campus apartment when the murders occurred. Investigators say one of the roommates came face to face with the killer.
It's certainly going to be an important piece of the trial. It's certainly going to be something that's going to be presented to this jury. But it has the potential, almost, to work, in both ways, for the prosecution and
I
for the
misspoke.
defense.
According to a police
I
affidavit,
completely
Dylan
misspoke. My
Moritson came
apologies.
face to face with the alleged killer moments after the gruesome
That's what I
stabbings of their
thought.
friends.
But
Moritson
they
told
found
police
what
she
appeared
opened
to
her
be a
door
dog
after
hair.
hearing
Hasn't
someone
been confirmed
crying
as
and
anything.
saw
See,
a
that's
figure
what
in
I
black
thought, but
clothing and a
that's,
mask that
I
covered
guess
that
I
person's
misspoke
nose and mouth
on
walking
my
toward her.
apologies.
She
Thank you,
describes the figure
SRP
as someone
and
5'10" or
Salty Vote.
taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The affidavit goes on to state Moritson stood in shock, then locked herself in her room after seeing the man who she says she didn't recognize.
That is what I'm talking about. That is what I have struggled with, is that part of in the PCA, that statement. And it's just my opinion, folks. It doesn't mean that what I'm saying that she's lying. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying listen, I gotta say this. I allowed this case, just like a lot of people, to overtake me because of the way I saw things. Okay. And the way that I was, how can I put this? In some senses, not all, because I still feel the same way in a lot of senses, but in some senses, I allowed this to overtake my common sense. That's why I started telling you guys we got to use common sense and we got to be logical about certain things. And I went back and read the PCA like I said, twice, 2 full times by myself with quiet, and I looked at certain aspects of things. I looked things up when I was reading it, and it made a little more sense to me. That's why I want to do a show like that and show you what I did and why some of it made more sense to me. But I will not I cannot deny, and I will not go back on the fact that I am definitely completely uncomfortable with Dylan Mortensen's statement in this PCA. Absolutely. And I have a little bit of discomfort with the way that the sheath was visualized and written about. And it's just doubt, folks. Okay. Reasonable doubt. Not, I'm not denying that it happened that way. And I'm not saying it didn't happen that way. I'm saying I have doubt with that scenario and big time with Dylan's statement because, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. And you don't have to agree with me. Welcome, Doc Terry. Good, great to see you. Excuse me. The reasoning why I went through 3 times, I believe. I did many shows about this case over the past year. Many, 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 a lot. And I went through the house. I did 3 virtual tours through that house. I struggle, and I'm not saying it that the way it was written is not true. As a person that's been inside multiple different homes, I look through this house knowing that there's no carpeting in this house. You're welcome, Doc. And thank you for being here. And that these walls are thin drywall based, you know, structures, blah, blah, blah. It's a very old, crappy house. It was not put together very well, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Right. That's what my problem is with that statement. Thank you, Sherry. Um, we don't know exactly what she said, only what Ellie wrote. That's what my problem is with it. It could have been worded completely different by her, and they reworded it to sound to their satisfaction in that sense. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. The reason, and the other part of the reason why I don't understand or I don't care for her statement is when I went through this house, realizing that there's not one stitch of carpeting in here, that the walls are as thin as they are, the way the rooms are stacked, and where everybody was located in the house. I found it hard to believe in a scenario like this going down. Okay. And this does not mean that what I'm going to say is fact. It doesn't mean that it's that what she said didn't happen. It's hard for me to believe that there was not more heard from Dylan and or Bethany on the night that this happened or on the morning that this happened, considering the circumstances of how the crime scene looked after the fact and how bad the victims were and how bad the wounds were. It was very hard for me to say, how did you only hear this? How did you only hear that? And how did you not see something more than what you stated? That's what I doubt. And that's my doubt. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen that way. It's just my doubt based on personal experiences within different homes, within a situation, obviously I've not in entertained the situation myself. I would just, I guess, for lack of better terms, I would imagine that she should have heard more than this. But again, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what happened. And like Sherry said, we don't know exactly what she said word for word, only based on how they wrote what she said. So they could have taken what she said, is what I'm saying, and given it the same meaning with different wording. You see what I'm saying? That's where that problem lies. So, um, and really the only things that I've had doubts with, other than the only other thing I had slight doubt, or I did have some doubt with, I should say. Um, it's crazy being in that house. The walkthrough is amazing. Yes, it really helps us understand better. I definitely agree, Salty. Thank you. Um, is the timeline has always been a bother to me, a problem for me. And I'm more comfortable with the original timeline. Welcome, Rowena Moses. Um, what is that? Hold on, my phone's going weird. And the fact that Brian Koberger is listed as the only suspect, I've always struggled with that. I'm not saying that he didn't do it, and I'm definitely not saying that, or I'm not saying that he didn't do it alone. Anything's possible, folks. But I've talked to people that definitely don't believe that it's possible, and it made me believe that based on their experiences and things like that. That's why I've doubted it the whole time. Okay. Hey, Rach, good to see you. And the timeline, like I said, and like Salty just said, is very tight, very, very close. And it threw me off from the beginning. That's a good point. A lot of people have stated that cast is going to be bigger than DNA. It very well could be. I can agree with that, Siri. I can. Um, See, I don't believe that one. Curious. I'm sorry to say that. I had that brought to me multiple times. I don't think that that's what they were looking at. I'm sorry. I disagree with it. I respect your opinion, but I disagree with that's what they were looking at, guys, because I think that if that was actually what they were looking at on those phones, I think that it would have been made a bigger deal there on camera, and you would have heard people verbally actually saying something about it. I think it would have been picked up on that camera. And I think people would have been making a really quite a bit bigger of a deal than what they were in that. But again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I personally don't feel that that's what they were looking at. That's just my opinion. And again, I respect yours. What's up, Todd? Good to see ya. Where are we at here? No, and I expect that. I absolutely expect the defense to really be rough on her. I'm sure they're gonna be because of that whole situation. I feel like it's gonna be a bad day for her in a lot of ways. Vicky says they weren't. I watched the full length live stream from the Grove Truck and listened to Joe's interviews. Right. Oh, I can agree with that, Todd. It was definitely targeted, in my opinion. I don't think it was just a random scenario. Definitely. Um, and I think that I can't say who the target was for sure. I'm confused on that, and I have been for a while. I've changed my mind back and forth on that a few times. Um, but it's definitely targeted. That was definitely no random scenario, guys. There was too much involved for it to be random. Yeah, the town is completely silent. They don't want it talked about. I think there's a couple reasons for that. Excuse me, guys. I had to grab something real quick. Oh, good oak. Sorry about that. So, um, I have heard time and time again that the whole town is being quiet from different sources, and they don't want nobody to talk about it, this and that, and everything else. If that's true, I don't know because I haven't been to Moscow. and I have no way to prove that. But if it is true, I believe that it's because Moscow wants to move on. They want to be able to move on. It is a college town or college town. There's other students that are going to be coming to this town, this school. Like I said, I have my doubts about this case, period. There's no doubt about that. There's a few things that I have a better understanding of now that I have looked into that I have to say I was wrong about. I feel I was wrong about. But a lot of the stuff that I have always put out there as having questions, I haven't changed my mind on some of that, on most of that stuff. It's just I I still don't have a guilty. I still cannot say whether I believe Brian is guilty or innocent at this point, and that's just because I don't think I'll ever will be able to until we go to trial. And I hope even then something is going to show me one way or another whether the man did it or didn't do it. That's all. It's that simple. And I pray to God, unless something big happens before then that blows everybody out of the water, then that's where it's going to lie for me. And I'll be glad when that happens so that this can get out of my head. That's fact. All right, Peachy. Thank you for joining us tonight. I really do appreciate you. What's going on? Oh, yeah. What are we talking about, Doodle? Hey, Golf. Good to see you tonight. The 1 year anniversary, I hate using that word. Hey Molly. To when that came upon it, I noticed that it seemed the mood was different this year than it was throughout the past year. Um with the kids. I feel like they're over this. That than the other students there, okay? I feel that they are over this. But I do also feel that there are, how can I say this and make it sound the right way? There may have been some things that have come to light since this case happened, okay, in Idaho for other people. There was talk of parallel investigations, this, that, and everything else. I don't know if that's true or if that's not. And I can't tell you that's true or not because I don't have that information. I've never been to Moscow and it's never been presented to me. I'm not saying that there weren't. I'm not saying that there were. I think attention was brought to other things and people centered in on that and they stuck to it. And it caused people to see things maybe that weren't actually there. I see I may not be phrasing this the right way. I can't think of any other way to put it. I'll figure it out. I gotta think. So just give me some time on it. But I think there were some things that were brought to attention that really maybe shouldn't have been. Let me put it that way, because it was an over exaggeration of certain situations. Maybe that's the best way to put it. And that's another big thing that happened a lot. That's one thing. I was never one for throwing out names of people, even in the beginning when we had our own certain suspects that we thought may have been involved. I wasn't comfortable ever with saying anybody's names. I'm still not, and I never will be. These are still people. They're kids to me, most of them. They're students. And if listen, guys, you got to think about something. If one of these, and this is the way I thought about this at some point, somebody brought it to my attention. I was like, I never looked at it like that, and that's bad. But if my one of my kids was going to that school and I knew that they were lightly in the group surrounding these kids. And they were seen on video somehow around this situation at some point throughout that night. This is my child. This all happens. My child comes home from school, and then 500,000 people are instantly accusing my child of being involved in this situation. I would have been a mess. It would have highly upset me. Think about what it did to that child or that person, that young adult. Let me put it that way, the young adult. Because now that young adult at some point has to go back to that school to finish what they're doing. They're going to school there. Because this happened over a holiday period of time. So at some point they're gonna have to go back to that school. And when people see all over social media and all over the news that this person became a person of interest amongst 500,000 people on social media, I don't care what anybody says, smart or not smart, when they look at that child, that young adult, they're gonna make a judgment in their own mind as to, was he involved or was he not involved? A lot of people think he's involved. Common sense, if they know him, then they're like, yeah, he wasn't involved. But a lot of people don't know him or her. We'll go by either way and say that, that could ruin that person's life down the road. And even myself, guys, I was guilty earlier on because there was a few people, a good handful of people that we all thought could have been involved in this scenario because of the way that it was presented to us. Okay. Never thought of it like that ever. Never once did I think of it back then like that. And I'm guilty of saying, well, what about this, and this? That's shady looking for this person. That doesn't seem right. Why did this person do this? Why did that person do that? And again, you got to go back to this, guys. I asked one of my kids, my youngest, my second youngest, because Caden's the youngest, he's a teenager. So, but my one of the twins, I actually asked him, 26, 27 years old. There's 26 years old. I said, what would you do if this happened at it? You were going to college and this happened and you were there and you were slightly close to this group of people. You knew them, so on and so forth. And somebody saw you with them that night. We know the police would have questioned you immediately because you were seen with them that night. And then what if, because of that, 500,000 people started saying, I think he was involved? What would that do to you? I asked one of my twins that, and he just looked at me and was like, wow, that's heavy. And I said, no shit. That's what we've been doing throughout this whole case, is thinking about and talking about stuff like that. When he gave me his reaction, it scared me. That's a fact, folks. That's where my mind changed on some of this. And I don't want to say, maybe the wrong way to put it, my mind didn't change on the things that I very, very strongly felt about, but I looked at it in a different perspective, which freaked me out a little bit and made me back up and go, wait a minute. This is wrong. Because if that's my child, I'm scared to death for my child, because his answer to me was, I would be petrified. We love our kids, guys. Adults or children, it doesn't matter. We still love our kids the same. Nobody would want their child to go through being accused of a crime like this, or being accused of being involved in a crime like this, without absolute concrete proof. Okay. And my mindset kind of flipped a little on that. And I was like, and like I said, and I never came out and threw anybody's name out particularly. We did talk about certain people that seemed a little off, and we did talk about people that were really were cleared too quickly and things like that, based on what we heard from interviews from families and stuff like that. But I had to take a huge step back from this, guys, and I was looking all over the place. Okay. This box, that box, this box, that, all over these little box. I was looking, instead of looking right here. I needed to stay right here where everything was in front of me and focus on that and go, okay, let's take a minute here and slow down, first of all. And that's where I pulled the PC up and I said, PCA up, I'm sorry, and said, okay, this, and this. And I still agree. That's one of the biggest, longest PCAs I've ever seen written up on any case we've ever covered. I will say that much. It's a lot and it's very detailed, which was interesting because I've never seen one like that. And I still definitely have issues with Dylan Mortensen's statement. But why? What right do I have to argue with that? I also have spoken to one of my friends, like I've told you guys, that's a police officer, and I asked him, and I was in the, he was very clear with me. I asked him, I said, do you think I'm an asshole for thinking this, or this? And he said, yep, pretty much, because you have no idea what we have to do when we write these. And I said, okay. He goes, I love you. I've known you for a long time, but you have no idea what this is about and why we write this like this and why that. Now, he did agree with me that statement seemed really off to him because but he also he's the one that told me, like Sherry said, that we don't know that he said, same thing, basically, word for word almost. You don't really know what she said. And he very well could have rewritten that to make it sound more adult like. Let me put it that way. For lack of better terms. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? Single source of DNA. What does that tell you? That's pretty important, Todd. Pretty important. That is a pretty important thing. Yes. That's a big thing here now, guys. And I had to, like I said, common sense is important. This thing went left and right, upside down, inside out, backwards, upside down, all over the place. But then there were lines crossed. And that's when Dago said, put the brakes on, folks. It's too much. And yes, other people brought it up. Other people threw it out, and said, "Oh, you're ridiculous and you're responsible and you need to do this." And hey, Cass, they were right. And it wasn't one specific person. It had nothing to do with why I made my mind up at some point to settle things down with this. And like I said, we're still here talking about it and we're going to continue. And I still respect everybody else's opinions on this 100%. I have my own thoughts on it, and it hasn't changed a whole lot. It has changed a bit, but not a whole lot, folks. I'm still on the fence 100%, and I'm still waiting to see, and I know that I'm not going to get that info, and I'm not going to get that satisfaction until we go to trial. Like I said, unless something crazy or big blows up with this. But there were a couple things that I had, like I said, the statement from her and the statement in regards to how the sheath was visualized, it just bugs me. I can't exactly explain why, but it just bugs me a little bit. That's all. Excuse me. I'm sure it absolutely did, Vicky, have fluids all over it. They never claimed that it didn't. They never said it was spotless and it was clean. Remember that. If you look at the wording, and it never said that. So yes, single source male DNA. Right. That's something important, folks. It's very important if you think about it. And I still have my issues. That's not going to change about the other pieces of male DNA that were found. And I do have a bit of issue with the way the whole DNA thing was handled, but that's just opinion, folks. My own personal opinion. But again, I went and had to look into that and had to have some information brought to me about that as to why. I'm still uncomfortable with some of that stuff. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not trying to change everything up. So like I said, there's just some things that I look at a little bit differently. but I do it now with a little bit more logic and a lot more common sense when I look at it and I think about it. You see what I'm saying? That's all it takes. That's all. Hey, Rach. I absolutely agree with that one too. I believe the sheath did have other DNA, the victims, of course. We don't know what else was on there, but here's the thing that a lot of people don't get. When you go into a scene like this, guys, think about this scenario for a minute. This is something that I never touched on at all until I started trying to be a little bit more logical with this. When you go into a scene like this, they have to go in and basically remove each bit of DNA from the scene that belongs to the victims and anybody else's that is in that house at that time. When they eliminate process of elimination, they eliminate each victim's DNA from that sheath. We'll just use the sheath. If whatever's left, what do you got? Whatever was left, they ended up with Brian Koberger's trace DNA on there. So I'm sure there was other DNA on it, folks. There was probably at least 4 other people's DNA on it. If he went through the house and attacked 4 other people, that's going to be on there in some form or fashion. Hey, Dive, what's up? Gotta love the cornball. That's me. Good to see you, dear. So, of course, those things are going to be there. They just, it's not explained in that sense, but it's got to be that way because all 4 of those people were in that house when this, and I'm sure that teeth was touched multiple times if it was in the house while this was going on. You see what I'm saying? Excuse me. I unfortunately found a victim when I was a manager. She was in her bathtub, fully dressed, blunt force trauma to the back of her head. Oh my God. Sorry to hear about that, Vicky. That's horrible. Why is there somebody knocking at my door? 1 second. Alrighty. Anyway, sorry. That was weird. Somebody's at my damn door. 11:32 at night. Wrong house. I was looking for somebody else. So, Drip Drop mentions Disney. It's been. Yeah, I wish, Mama 5. I wish I could afford DoorDash. That shit's expensive out this way. Really expensive. No, they were looking for. It was the pizza guy looking for the house next door. I was like, I'll take it if you want, but that's a good point too, Miss Vicky. But if it doesn't have nothing else on it, I believe it would have. Hold on here. But if it doesn't have nothing else on it, I believe it would have been placed there. Would have blood being under the bodies unless they bled out first. Sorry. No, it's okay. It depends on how the situation actually went down, Amy. Like where he went first, as to um depends on where he went to first. Um and how he went to it. And that's something else that was brought up too that I just saw in the chat. I'm gonna put up here in a second. So if he it depends on where he was upstairs or downstairs because we don't know for sure yet. Um and who was attacked first and who was attacked last. Okay. Either way, it was a mess. That's fact. And that's the other thing that Doodle said that, we don't know how the struggle went. That's one of the reasons I have issue with Dylan's statement for. Salty also says if you wore a pair of coveralls with deep pockets, you could put your sheath in it. That's fact. See, that's something that I didn't think about a long time ago either. And Sherry says there's a lot they don't have to mention because it's irrelevant to the defense, like victim DNA and etc. etc. Right. And something that happened with this is there's a lot of people that were sitting here, me too, waiting to hear from, either side. And then the defense pops up and says there was no DNA in Brian's apartment, in his car, in his parents' house, or at his work office. Whoa. What? How is that possible? We all expected to hear that car was going to be a petri dish full of DNA. There was nothing based on what she said. We don't know. I still struggle with the fact that the prosecution has not brought anything big yet because I just would think that they would do that to prove their case. But I don't know who's playing what's going on. I'm not a prosecutor. I never have been. I don't know how you do this and how you would do this. I would just imagine that you would bring it out right off, but obviously not. And I struggle with the fact that there's no DNA in the car. There's no DNA on anything. It's hard to believe that. It's really hard to believe that. But yeah, that's a good point too, that he is a criminology student, but nobody's perfect. That's where I had problems with that. You know what I mean? How did you pull that off? And like I said, I told you guys before that me and Jules had gone back and forth over the phone on this case. Like we both had the same thoughts. Is it true that he, maybe he wasn't involved, or is he really actually really that good? And if he is, damn, like that's going to be something that'll never be forgotten. To do something like that and make it that good, come on. That's unbelievable. You know what I mean? Which is why it was so hard to believe, but it's very possible, you guys. It is very possible. Obviously, or it wouldn't even be being talked about. Uh-oh, Vicky. I imagine that's true too. Unless he cleaned it beforehand. Don't dive. Red says, I think he wore a parka or whatever, possibly from his Rent-A-Cop times. The I'm here to help you, whatever line makes me think such. And you know what? I've always had problems with that comment. It doesn't fit in the category with everything that went on, but maybe it does. Maybe it does, like Red just said. Maybe he was portraying himself as a police officer to kind of take them off guard. It's dark. It's early in the morning. They don't know if they don't know him. You know what I mean? They don't know if that's a security jacket or if he's a campus security, if he's a police officer. But why would he be there to help them? Is what help them with what? That's what I thought too, Salty. He cleaned that car before his dad ever showed up. If he's the one that did this, I absolutely agree with that. He had to have. He had to have. And I mean, he had to really clean it. You know what I'm saying? And if Brian, listen, this is something else that I've always thought. If per se Brian did this and he did clean the car, we know that he's OCD. We know that, you guys. Everybody that we've talked about that how many times? Brian Koberger is OCD, obsessive compulsive. I have OCD. I'm a very clean person. I'm very weirdly clean and very organized with my household. So I know how I am. And I'm not even nearly as bad as him from what I understand. So if you're cleaning something and you have OCD, I would imagine that you're going to go over it again and again and again and again, especially if you're doing something in this situation to ensure that you've missed nothing. And how long did Brian have to do that after this happened before he was arrested? A long time, guys. It was a very long time. So that is very possible in a sense. I can agree with that too. Don't dive. You know, I respect everybody's opinion. I always have. That statement, I don't know. Didn't he clean it at Pennsylvania? FBI so say so. I can't remember if that's how that went down or not, so I can't say yes for sure. Candace Morin, good to see you. One was dropped today, and the other two were dropped on the 29th. Candace. Take take care, Riddler. Thank you. I appreciate you. Hope to see you again, my friend. Right. And you're that absolutely salty. You know, I'm still more for the defense because I haven't seen anything from the prosecution. I still lean a little bit more in that direction, but I'm still mostly in the middle with it. And I really don't want to be. I've said this before. I would love for somebody to for the prosecution or anybody to come out and say, "Here it is. There he is. Game over." And I can move on. Rockin' reaction rollers. Good to see you. I know. I think they seem very comfortable, guys. Very comfortable. Very confident. Abnormally confident for a case like this, in my opinion. I'll be honest with you. Absolutely, Red. Good to see you, Ash. So, did anybody have any questions or anything in regards to the new documents or anything like that? See, here's my question with that. I'm glad you asked that, Ashley. If they had video evidence of Brian Koberger, would we know? What do you guys think? Would we know? Anybody? Exactly. We would never know that. Never. Hold on. Huh? Yeah. Yep. They only had to show enough to arrest him. Coworker pull over with dad on 15th. His car was very, very dirty, so maybe he didn't clean the car to back in Pennsylvania. It's possible. I think he would have cleaned it before his father saw it, though. That's just my thought on it. I may be wrong, but Brian Koberger's a geek. Think about it. Is impossible to unalive 4 people in less than 15 minutes on a tri-level home. Really, the FBI will blow the case wide open. I respect that. Absolutely. We will know at trial. They gathered so much material after the arrest. The canvas of cameras will probably show so much. 51 terabytes. There's a lot of digital evidence, folks. That's a fact. They better hope they do. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I agree. For sure. I think if they had video evidence, it would be at the home. And Ann already stated that he wasn't at the home at the time of the murders. I mean, and you just, that's, I've always struggled with the fact that they didn't have a clear cut video of him. And if they do have that, why they didn't come out with that in the very beginning, clean cut and say, boom, that's why we know it's him. There it is. I mean, that would be open and shut. You know what I'm saying? And I find it hard to believe that if they have that, that they didn't present it already. So that told me in my mind that they didn't have it. You know what I mean? That's just how my mind worked on it. Hey, Candy Girl, good to see you. Uh, I think if they had him on video, the defense wouldn't be fired. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think they would have presented that a long time ago. That's just my opinion. And that's what right there, that camera across the street, I would imagine should be right there. It should just put it out to you right there. And I would have thought they'd have just said, here it is. We know he did it because of this. You know what I mean? I mean, that's cut and dry, folks. And that's why I have never thought that they have something like that, which is weird. It's weird because there's a lot of cameras around that house. And stated in court that she had all of the stuff on the car now to include the FBI report when they changed the car year. Yeah. Yes, yes. I think little by little they have gathered more. They won't show it. No, I don't think so either. I really have thought throughout this whole thing that the prosecution had a weak case. I have always thought that. Only because of what's presented to us. But see, this could be a whole somebody said that to me one time not too long ago, and it made me go, well, you know what? You're probably right. That makes sense. This could be a whole strategy for the state on the prosecution side. That and I've always struggled with it, and I've always been in denial over this. Somebody said, "What if they come out? What if this is their entire strategy? Jesus, I can't talk. Strategy is to come very weak through the whole case, arrest everything very weak, and then when trial hits, boom, like crack a home run immediately." That's a good strategy if you think about it, and I've seen that done before. But I just never wanted to accept that because it just didn't make sense to come that slow when you have something that big. That's why it just never made sense to me. And they do. I agree. The state does appear very calm. Now there were a couple times when the prosecutor looked like he was a little bit out of sorts. I'll say that. But that doesn't mean that it had anything to do with what they have or don't have. It could have been something all together different within that realm of with what the defense is doing. You know what I mean? Remember, Bith studies suits work for the state. Both sides work for the state. That's another good point, Sherry. They both do work for the state of Idaho, the public defender as well as the prosecutor. That's a good point. You guys all got good points tonight. I appreciate this too. Everybody's very calmly stating different things and agreeing and disagreeing. I love it. You guys are awesome. You can't convict without a trial. You present all your evidence at trial. Bing, bang, boom, bullseye. That's right. Did we know about the Snapchat video of Murdaugh before the trial? That no. And I know how that went down. You're right. You're right. That was definitely a game changer. And there it is. Like I said, we could get one of those. We could get something like that, Snapchat video or a full length video. What I mean, guys, we don't know. And I'm almost wanting something like this to happen. I'm wanting them to start the hearing or the trial and pull up the video and have a full length 25-minute video of Brian pulling into the parking lot, getting out of his car, walking in the house, and coming back out 25 minutes later, covered in mess, and leaving. I almost want that because then I'm going to go, yeah, dingbat, there it is. He's guilty. Move along. I'm not saying that's really going to happen. I'm just saying I almost want them to have something like that so that it will shut this down. That's a good question. Don't dive. When do y'all think the trial will be? I'm gonna have to. I've called 2 days. I think at the earliest this next summer. That's me, and at the latest next winter is when it's gonna start. That's my two things on that. By summer too. Yeah. Like I said, at the earliest, I think the same. Mid July. That's my thought. And at the very latest, maybe next winter. Like I said, that all depends on what happens in that between now and then. Anything could happen. We don't know. Julie Dunn. Julie says, think summer 2024 because school will be out of session. They won't. Yeah, that's where my thought was at with that too, because there is no school. The kids are all gone. I think that's the best bet. And I still think that there's going to be possible issues with jury selection and venue and things like that. Very possible, but who knows? If all AT is waiting for his IGG, then we are getting close. You never know, guys. We could get something pop by the first of the year, and they're like, and be surprised. I'd be so excited, but I really don't think that's going to happen. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it could go for years. That's fact too, CL, but I'm hoping that's not fact, but that would be interesting to see. And I've had people debate me with that. We don't know. Closer to the trial, they may take the DP off and he spills. We just don't know. I don't ever see Brian taking a plea on this ever. That's my opinion. I just don't ever see that happening. And let's see. Ashley says, on the other hand, there's a case worth looking at recently where they got a full conviction of a husband who apparently liked his wife, and because the state didn't pursue the other DNA on the scene, the entire conviction was tossed. I mean, you never know. You're right, Ashley. Never know. Baby Evelyn, that trial's not too. Yeah, I know. They do stretch them out of ways sometimes. It's sad. There's a lot to these cases, though. If Anne gets everything she wants, everything, If we don't get any more requests for discovery for anything, I can see the defense pushing to get this rolling. I can. Doodle says that if he did this and he sees that he's going to lose, he may justo. I don't know. It's a good point. I feel like Brian is too confident and too proud and too stubborn. Okay. He's been kind of cocky a little bit. Either cocky or confidence. You can call either one. For whatever reason, and that's what's made me question his innocence in this a lot. And hasn't mentioned those unknown DNA samples lately. I'm waiting, maybe a trial. That's possible too. It's a good point. Very good point. The warrant for a YouTube channel and Spotify are interesting. I agree. The YouTube channel thing is definitely very interesting to me. That one I agree with. And I think the Spotify could be linked to the YouTube thing too. That's very possible. I was told. Red, how do we know he doesn't want to be guilty after his trial is played out? We don't. That's another interesting point. Very interesting, actually, Red. I mean, if this guy's like mental, okay, and like detached, we all know about the class, I think it was a class project or whatever it was, that he did, looking for people that experienced, crime, so on and so forth. If this guy really got wrapped up in his criminology stuff, he could be, a psychopath and wants to be guilty. That's a good point, Red. You know what I mean? And wants to see how far he can take this, and wants to see if he can get this, either get found innocent or guilty. It could be a psychological thing with him, a whole mind trip. You know what I mean? We don't know. This guy's mental. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. You know what I meant. Yeah. Or like, I can't stop unless you make me stop. Good point. There's a lot of perspectives and a lot of ways to look at this, guys, other than just he's innocent or I don't think he's in it. I don't, you know what I mean? There's a lot of ways that you can angle this. Seriously. That's a normal project in the class. Right. It's normal. That's right. But like I said, what if Brian's that's one of those people that takes this stuff to the extreme and the limit? You know what I mean? To try to make a point or to prove something because he's very secure within himself in that sense. You know what I mean? You as well, Miss Ashley. Absolutely, my dear. You just can't say never. This can't happen. That's fact. You cannot do that. Stranger things have come about, guys. They really have. Right. Something's going on. He's sitting in jail. Defense never requested a bail hearing. Well, probably because they didn't. They knew they weren't going to get it to you out in a quadruple homicide. There's no way in hell this guy would have ever gotten a bail hearing. Come on now. I mean, that's too much right there. They waived the 15-day after arrest preliminary hearing and now waived his right to a speedy trial. These are good points. They really are. Very much so. That's it. Feeling out both sides of the coin. And that's the best way to do this, you guys. And I like seeing people on both sides of this. I always have. I like seeing people's theories on both sides. And I respect that. I really do. I always have. I would love to see something like that, Ashley. Seriously. Two strong theories that are on one on each side debate. I'd love to see it to bring out good points on both sides. I really would. I would definitely moderate it too. I have no problem with that. I will say this, guys. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Never. This is going to go down in history, and it will probably be in the history books for our grandkids to read about. Okay. I agree with that, Vicky. I really do. When you have the right people in here, I agree. Eddie would just end up agreeing with wisdom rather quickly. I don't know about that. I don't know. Eddie's pretty like set in his ways and as far as his thoughts on this. I really think he is. A bail hearing isn't too much. It's basic. I've never seen a defense not request one. Well, I mean, in a case like this, I didn't expect one. I didn't. I mean, a capital or I'm sorry, not capital, but a quadruple homicide just seemed like there's no way they're going to give him a bail hearing. No way. And I think that because there was no preliminary, I don't think I don't think it was even a thought. You know what I mean? Yes, I love Eddie to death. He's a great dude. He really is. He's so respectful and he's so understanding in a lot of ways. And he's a really, really good guy. I wonder why this case has united so many because there's so many people that are watching this, Ashley. Do you have any idea how many people are watching? And I'm not just saying here in the States, all over the world. I have over the past year I've had people in here from Japan, Thailand, Norway, England, the UK, of course, all over the UK, Italy. Let me see, China, Japan. I said, I mean, everywhere and all over the United States too. The whole world has seen this case, and it's brought so many people together. But at the same time, sadly, it's tore a lot of people apart, and it should never have. This should never have been split, guys. I will say this until I'm purple. This case should never have split people the way it did. Okay? Because as I started with this, when I started with this, and when I started in true crime, I always said that we are here to be the voice for the voiceless. These people are no longer with us. They can't speak for themselves. They can't tell their stories to you. That's where we came in. That's why I did this, to be the voice for the voiceless and to find true justice for the victims and their families. That's never changed. Anybody else that comes out here should be out here for the same thing. Okay? And it should have never been split the way it was. And when it happened fast and hard, if you know what I'm saying. People came in here and said, he's innocent. He's guilty. And it started World War III immediately. And it's been going on for a year. A year. And at some point, I believe some creators stepped back and went, what the HELL is going on with this shit? I'm done. I was one. I talked to multiple people that were like, what is going on with your channel? The channel got crazy. The Discord got crazy. People were infighting, outfighting, threatening each other, this, that, and everything else. It was insanity, complete insanity, you guys. And there was never, ever a reason for it. Never. Yeah, where is Dan, by the way? I'm surprised he's not in here tonight. He must be either sleeping or burnt out. Yes, that is true. That's why I do not go in there for a point. I won't. I went in there once. It got pretty nasty in there a couple of times from what I heard. It was nasty in there when I went in there, and I was in there for a short period of time and I took off. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you, brother. Chat rooms have got, yeah, seriously. I'm telling you, man, I literally, like I said, I was talked at by people. I was talked to by people that were leveling, that were being, you know, respectful and calm. I was attacked by people. We all know how this all went down. And at some point, I myself, and before a lot of that even started happening, stepped back and I was like, what the hell why is this going on? I never agreed with this. I never wanted it to be like this. This guy right here, Daniel, like early on in this case, we both disagreed on this completely, on completely different aspects of it. Okay. But we never got like that with it. Never got like that. We could always agree to disagree and shake hands and walk away at the end. That's the way it should have stayed with everybody, but it didn't. It got dark. It got scary. It got nasty. And it was too much. Too much. Yes. Very much so. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good show, by the way, Daniel, but it is crazy over there. Yes, I agree with that too. They were very good shows, brother. I didn't get to see them up first, replay crew, but like great stuff as always. Always, always great stuff. And like I said, guys, at this point, over a year later, it's really been, I mean, it's just been a mess. The whole thing, and there's been so much with it. I'm glad that I stepped back from this. I'm glad that I re-looked at it. I'm glad that I became, how can I put this? I was arguing with myself over things. That's a problem. You know that. And thank God I had some very sensible people to talk to me. When I'm struggling with myself about this and like, why am I thinking this? How do I need to look at this? I literally went to people and said, how do I need to look at this for it to make sense to me? Why is this not something I can see? And it worked. It really did. And I'm very proud of myself for being able to pull back, okay, on the reins and reapproach at a different speed and a different level. And I think if a lot of people would do that, they'd feel so much better with this. I really do, guys, because it's just not worth it. It's not, because in the end, everything that's going on, the crazy chat rooms, the crazy Facebook stuff, the crazy stuff that's going on in these channels, that's not giving these victims true justice or anything. It's not doing anything. My biggest turning point on this, I'll be honest with you, facts are facts are facts. And again, I hate using this word for this because it's not an anniversary. It's a horrible, but the Remembrance Day, the day of memorial of when this happened. I did a show about it, and I part of the show that I did, because a lot of people didn't see last year's memorial. I played that, and I played an interview for you guys with Ben Mogan. What's up, Annie? That interview broke me. Completely broke me. You guys that were in here know I sat through that whole thing with sunglasses on. That interview broke me. That interview did something to me inside my head. And I got quiet on this after that, and I stepped back from it, and I was just like, why? Watching the interview with Ben Mogan, watching his reaction and him talk about his daughter and certain things he mentioned about social media, that was enough for me right there. That was absolutely the end. That was it. That was done. That was it. And at that point, I had to say, I can't control other channels. I can't control other people. I can't control the people that are in here, but I have the control of the channel. Between that mess that happened in here with the one guy that made the comments he did, that did not. I'm even going to go into that. But anyway, you guys know what I mean. Okay. That was enough. It was ridiculous. And I had a conversation with a very wise lady, multiple conversations, and she was frustrated. Other people were frustrated. I was frustrated. I was trying to figure out how to make this, how to bring everybody into this and not have it clash like it did. And I just said, you know what? It's not going to happen. It just has to stop. And that's what I did. And I walked away. And I just reapproached, like I said, guys. And at this point, I'm happy with where I'm at with it. And I'm going to continue to be that way with it. Thank you, Party of Five. I appreciate that. But that was it right there. Realizing the fact that the families were watching these things, were hearing things that were being said, were could possibly, they were already in enough pain. That hurt me. Again, it was that interview is what turned the corner for me. To watch the actual pain in his face. I was done. I've been saying for a while that they have not had the chance to grieve properly about this. I know they haven't. You know they haven't, because especially the Gonsalves family, they've been involved in this from day one. When have they grieved on this? Don't tell me they have done it the proper way, because they haven't. They haven't been able to. They haven't been able to grieve, guys. They have no time for that. And we come up on a year already. It's wrong. It's none of it was right. I'm sorry. When you talk to a victim's family and they are looking for answers and in desperation to understand what happened, they tune in and people are making the person accused of the killings a hero. Thank you. That's the best way to put that, because that's how that was turning out. And that is not ever what my point was by stating that I was on the fence about whether he was innocent or guilty. People took that and said he's innocent. He's innocent. Never said that. I've never claimed that. Never will claim that unless they prove him innocent. But that's what happened, you guys. It was either he's guilty or he's innocent. There was very few people that were on the fence in the middle with me that were like, I don't know. I can't say for sure yet. And if you didn't make a decision, you were attacked on both sides. It was insane. So there it is. That's what it is, folks. That's a great comment, Daniel. Thank you for that. So like I said, guys, I'm glad of where I'm at with this. And it is absolutely heartbreaking. You know, when you have to sit and think about, obviously, thank God we don't have to experience this, and hopefully nobody ever has to. But they have. Unfortunately, they have. And there's nothing that changes this, folks. This is permanent. Regardless, it's permanent. You can't go back. It's not something that you can just fix and recreate. No, it's done. It's permanent. It's over. And it's life altering. And like Daniel said, to see somebody basically immortalizing the person that is accused of it, no, that's unacceptable. I'm sorry. Very unacceptable. And it always was. I didn't see it for that for the longest time that was happening. You can't follow everything that goes on in your chat. You don't always see it. You get this, you get that, it's just wrong, guys. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's okay to have your opinion. It's okay to have an opinion, but there's a line that never should be crossed. And it was crossed a lot. It was ran over. And it's sad. It's very sad, saddening, and disheartening, folks. It is. They are in a rough spot right now. Their Facebook page about how they have missed her since the anniversary. I think it hit them harder than expected. I bet it did. Honestly, I feel bad for them too. It's horrible. No one should ever have to feel the way that these people feel, guys. Never. Like I said, the interview with Ben Mogan broke me. It broke me, and that is where I turned a corner because it was just horrific. That man and none of these people should ever have to give the interviews they've given, ever. Nobody should. Very hard. Very hard. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree, Salty. It's horrifying. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, Doodle. That's it right there. Not to mention how many people slammed their inboxes. See, and that's what I'm saying, guys. This shit got carried away. There were people accusing the families of things. Accusing, I had people in here that I had to get rid of, accusing people, the victims of things. No, none of that is ever acceptable. Never was, never will be. None of it. It's just sick. Nobody should ever have to feel that ever. And I'm grateful that a lot of people, I've seen this, not just here, but in a lot of places. A lot of people have come to their senses in this. A lot of people have stepped back from it. I don't know what caused it, but I've seen a lot of people doing it. They've stepped back. They've I don't know if it was the same things that affected me or any of that, but it was enough. It really was. And I'm grateful that a lot of people have stopped. Enough is enough. That was the worst for me. That absolutely was the worst. I was beyond angry with specific people because of that thing right there. The victim shaming is disgusting for any case, not just this one, but any case anybody ever covers. Yep, that does happen as well. I do agree. I agree with that too, Kat. I would never personally reach out to any of the families. I never would have ever thought that. I never wanted to. Um, there were creators that wanted to do that. I never agreed with that. Now, I know that the families reached out to other creators. That's different. When they reach out to you, that's a whole different scenario. But when you're badgering these people, trying to get interviews, I never agree with that. That's just not. They don't need to talk to us. They don't want to talk to us. It's not our business, guys. I've always believed that, Whatever we get on this is we're lucky to see or hear that. But we're not owed anything on this. Never were. Oh, well, actually, we're about done, Pisces. But thank you for jumping in. I'm just having just a conversation. That's all. I dropped the new docs, explained those, and just conversating about it. That's all. And it's all because the public court had sealed everything, and the families were asking for help in finding out what happens. A lot of it, yeah. See, like I said earlier on, I think that the gag order went both ways. It was good in some ways and it was bad in others. You know what I mean? And I really truly feel like it made people go insane. The gag order caused people to go nuts. Congrats, Pisces. Thanks for being here with us for 4 months. I appreciate you. Um, because, and that's where people started making and inventing things. That's where it got bad because of the gag order. There was no other information coming out and people started inventing uh suspects and inventing pieces of the crime. I mean, it was insane. That's where I think the gag order part was bad. But can you guys imagine if there was no gag order? Think about that for a minute. Imagine if there was no gag order on this case, where we'd be sitting right now with this. They are, you're right, Salty. They're aggravating as hell, but in this case specifically, I think I think it was good in some senses that there was one. Christy has agreed to do an on-air interview, but we haven't set a date because things are hard and I'm not pushing it. Absolutely. She contacted us because we were respectful and trying. That's right. And you guys always were with her with that and everything, Daniel. I respect that. Always have about you. You know that. And I know that when that happens, I'm sure it's going to be a great interview, my friend. So God bless. Yeah, like I said, they are aggravating, but I can only imagine how bad this could have gotten if there was no gag order. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's definitely not the first case with a gag. I just think it's the worst case that's had a gag put on it. I do. Dealing of court, and the family was all over TV, social media asking for help and said no confidence. In the beginning, yeah, that is how that went down. I agree. But you got to think about how these people were affected by this, and they weren't in the beginning. They weren't getting the information they thought they needed to get, and it was frustrating to them. Okay, as a family, I can imagine I would have been frustrated as well. And with everything else that's gone down, there's things flying all over the place about this, that, and everything else, and they don't know what's what. They can't be expected to. You know what I mean? That's frustrating as well. Also, I reached out to Amy, the good nurse, and she is also down to come on when we do it. Yes, sir. Good deal, bro. Good deal. I'm glad you got a hold of that. That's a great story, by the way. Very, very interesting story. Um, I covered that. Oh my god, it was over a year ago now, I think. But he's talking about. I used to have a series that I had called the Midnight Series. Don't ask me where that came from, but it was about Hollywood movies that were based off of true crime, true stories. Okay. And one of them was called The Good Nurse. And it was about a male nurse that unalived multiple people with the powers of being a nurse, medication wise and things like that. He used insulin and stuff like that. And he was caught by a friend that he had befriended, another nurse, and she was kind of torn by that because she had to think about their friendship. He was a very good friend to her. There's a lot behind it. I don't want to give it away to you guys completely, but and doing the right thing. And of course she did the right thing. And it's just a very, very, very interesting story. And it turned out to be a great movie. And Amy, the good nurse, when I put it out there, she had liked and commented on it and said, that if I ever wanted to, do more with her, to reach out. And I never got around to it because of all this stuff going on. And Daniel picked up on that. I told him, here's what it is, go for it, so on and so forth. And he did. So it's going to be a good show, Daniel. It always is, I'm sure. Very interesting story, though. Very. It's insane. And I've actually found a couple more since that went down that are almost identical to it. Again, people abusing their power. And this is what happens. I'm glad to hear that, though, brother. I really am. Truth is truth. Why would a gag order affect a fair trial? Truth doesn't move or change. Every other trial in America is fair with no gag order or stealings. I mean, I don't know. This case, it goes beyond any other case I've ever seen. So, but yeah, I mean, in essence, I can agree. I can agree. In they do use them a lot in a lot of different cases. But like I said, this case is not like any other case I've ever seen. So you have to take that into effect with a lot of different, very things that we think about here. Miss Bonnie, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right, folks. I think. Wait a minute. What do we got here? What narrative does she have? She wants the truth and justice. They hired a private investigator, so have more info based off investigation, and that's why they believe it's him too. I must have missed that. I didn't see that up here. Your narrative is the same as hers. Well, I don't really know. Listen, I don't even know how to approach it at this point. Um I'm just gonna leave that what the answer was with that one. Yeah. Casey Anthony, no gag order, 2 years nonstop media trial. There was no gag on that one. I thought there was a gag order on that case. Well, I guess not. Yeah. OJ, that was put out with no gag order, and that was every day for God. How long did that trial go on for? I swear the OJ trial went on. It seemed like it was years. I know it wasn't. I'm just saying it seemed like it was. Wow, that's crazy. I thought for sure Anthony's had a gag on. I guess not. Interesting. There aren't gag orders in Florida. I believe everything is out there. Well, they're stricter on their laws too. That's fact. Yeah, I swear OJ went on literally for like 2 years. I know it didn't, guys, but it really feels like I was watching that every day for 2 years. The Sunshine Law, right? Absolutely. That was another rough case. I'm glad I was not in true crime when that case was out because I'd have been a mess over that one too. All right. So all right, guys, I'm gonna jump out of here. It's 12:30. I gotta get up in the morning to do some stuff. You guys might see me tomorrow. I can't promise, but you might. Vicky says it's Ben Mogan's interview on. Oh, wrong one. I'm sorry. Yeah, it should be. If you go to actually my video, it's on the video that I did, Vicky. If you look at my lives or my videos for November 14th or November 13th, it'll be on there on that day. It's on the full video, the full interviews on there. Or you can just look it up under that, under Ben Mogan interview. It should be able to come up. You might find it on its own. Have a great night, Salty. Thank you for joining us. Can you say why is the prosecutor fighting so hard not to pass info to the defense? I don't think they are, Katie. We heard Ann Taylor say that everything she asks for from the prosecution, they give her. That wasn't where the problem was. It was getting law enforcement to pass it on to the state so that the state could pass it on to the defense. That's where the problem was lying. It wasn't prosecution at all. She very, very clearly stated that everything she's asked for, she's received. Darren McGee, good night to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night, all of you guys. I appreciate you guys jumping in here with me tonight so very much. Bonnie, you as well. Yeah, it was coming. That's where the problem was with the FBI. Truly. Prosecution turned everything over as they were told, as they were asked to. And like I said, Ann Taylor clearly stated that in the one hearing. So it wasn't them at all. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. That's right. She did. Word for word, those were her words. She said the state was not hiding anything. It was all FBI stuff. So, guys, it was a great chat tonight. I appreciate you very, very much. More than you know. Everybody that jumped in, I appreciate you very much. It was actually a really good conversation tonight. Very level, very comfortable. and a very mature conversation. I appreciate that. It needs to be like that all the time. And I love that. Especially with this case. I love it. I do. So again, guys, thank you very much. Don't forget to love yourselves and love each other, folks. Don't change a thing about yourselves because you are the beautiful people. Have a great night, folks, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.